Have you ever worried about invisible threats lurking in your application code, ready to compromise your precious data? It is a common concern for developers, safeguarding information from malicious attacks. Parameterized queries are your most effective defense against structured query language injection. They work by fundamentally separating the structured query language code from the data that users provide. This critical separation ensures that user input is always treated as data, never as part of the executable command. To understand why this is so powerful, let us consider what structured query language injection is. It is a security vulnerability that allows an attacker to interfere with the queries that an application makes to its database. This is usually done by inserting malicious code into input fields, which then gets executed as part of a legitimate database query. Without parameterized queries, your application might construct a structured query language statement by simply concatenating user input directly into the query string. If an attacker types something like single quote OR1 equals 1 dash dash into a username field, your database could be tricked into returning all user records, bypassing authentication entirely. This happens because the database sees the attacker's input as valid instructions to be executed. Parameterized queries, often implemented through what are called prepared statements, change this dynamic completely. When you use a parameterized query, you first define the complete structure of your structured query language statement with placeholders for any user-supplied values. For example, instead of directly embedding a username, you might write select*from users WHERE username equals question mark. The database management system then compiles and optimizes this query structure once. Only after this step do you provide the actual user data, which is then bound to those placeholders. The key here is that the database engine treats whatever is bound to the placeholder as literal data, not as additional executable structured query language commands. It simply cannot confuse data with code, effectively neutralizing any malicious input. Implementing parameterized queries is straightforward across most programming languages and database drivers. You would typically use a method provided by your database library to create a prepared statement object, then set the values for its parameters, and finally execute the statement. This approach works for all types of structured query language operations, including inserts, updates, and deletes, not just select statements. It is a consistent, reliable way to handle all dynamic interactions with your database. Beyond just security, parameterized queries offer additional benefits. They are a crucial component of a robust defense in-depth strategy for your applications. Furthermore, because the database compiles the query structure only once, using prepared statements can sometimes lead to performance improvements for queries that are executed repeatedly, as the database can reuse the optimized execution plan. This makes them not just a security best practice but also a potentially efficient coding pattern. By adopting parameterized queries, you are fundamentally strengthening your application's security posture and safeguarding your database against one of the most prevalent and dangerous web vulnerabilities. It is a foundational technique that ensures the integrity of your data and the reliability of your services, keeping malicious code where it belongs, out of your database commands.
If this helps you code smarter, like, subscribe, and stay tuned for more.